Jeremy, welcome to Landlord Confidential.
Thank you.
So, explain to the audience, why are you here today?
Well, first, it was great to come see your office. I've never been here before, so happy to be invited to your lovely office and this podcast. I always appreciate talking to my customers and learning more about them and their team and their needs. So this was a wonderful opportunity to have some time with the home ladder professionals and learn more about your needs and how any ways that we can help you more.
Yeah. I think we met you, I probably met you 5 years ago at the National Association of Residential Property Managers. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Was that in Scottsdale at the Scottsdale convention?
It probably was, yeah.
Yep.
And we met you through your company, Air Filters to You, right?
Or AFTY, as we like to call it around the office.
AFTY is what I refer to it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, air filters to you. Some people get confused when they see that on their credit card statement. Yeah, we've been in business for over 5 years now. Very proud of that accomplishment. We've grown every single year since we started. We were a new concept to the marketplace. We felt strongly that we could add value to property managers and their teams every single day. And I feel we've proven that to our customers. We continue to grow. We continue to add services. We continue to hire. So we've made a lot of significant accomplishments as a company in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's nuanced. You do different things for different property managers, but in general, what is the AFTY service?
We do. So we do customize our service to what our property management customers needs. Some smaller property managers like us to perform more services, and some more sophisticated groups just want us to do air filter installation and property checks. That's where our bread and butter has started. We are a property management service provider. That's what we have been successful in. Air filters was our foot in the door. As a property manager in Arizona, one of the easiest things you can do to lower maintenance costs and increase energy efficiency and lengthen the life of your HVAC system is to change your air filters. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the reality is many of your tenants will not do that. Mm-hmm. Even if you hand them the filter at the door or put 12 filters in the garage, they don't own the HVAC system, they don't own the home, and they're going to call you in July when the system breaks down because the system's not breathing efficiently. Our company was established to solve that problem. When you hire us, you never have to worry about that issue ever again. Our team schedules every single appointment. We arrive on time, clean the grill, change the filters every time. While we change the grill, we have the opportunity to smell in your home. We have the opportunity to look for apparent drywall flooring issues in the main corridor of the home. Mm-hmm. We can see if there's pets in the property. We can see if there's damage to the property, and we report that back to our property management customers. That's our service to property managers in a nutshell.
So you provide an invaluable service to us as property managers, which translates over to the owner. So it's like you're going there to personally change the filter, not just sending it to them. Like you're showing up, changing the filter, but also looking around to make sure they're complying with their lease. So you're the property manager's eyes and ears and nose in the home, and can let us know if they're complying with their lease, and we can take action accordingly.
Absolutely. If you're managing 300 homes, it would be very difficult for you to have staff to visit all 300 homes every 2 months. But because my team has been established as a efficiency platform, we are not just good, but I would say exceptional at scheduling and performing thousands of air filter installation and property checks for customers like yourselves every single month.
Yep.
I think that was my first question to you. Like, how can you logistically do this? How can you get into these homes every month or every other month? So what is your secret behind that?
The most impressive thing we do by far is scheduling thousands and thousands of air filter appointments. I have a team of 5 full-time administrators that their job is entirely to schedule and route jobs each month. We start off with 3,500 and we end with 0.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's our responsibility.
It's particularly tough in a market like Phoenix where we're so horizontally spread out, and it's not just that you can pick the properties and go to them right away. Like you're scheduling with residents, right? So you have to make sure they're available, and oftentimes they're, I'm sure, canceling, rescheduling on you last minute, and you have to make last second pivots. So yeah, I can imagine that is a nightmare.
Of course, there's always variables, and we have to be flexible. We have to be thoughtful. We have to understand people like weekend service, and since our growth has occurred gradually over 5 years, we have been intelligent on how we've grown our company and our software and our resources to meet that demand. So about 3 years ago, we built our own proprietary scheduling software to so we make it as efficient as possible for your residents to click on their property, click on their scheduling time, and then confirm with reminding confirmation emails. And is scheduling thousands of jobs every month perfect? No, of course not. Of course, there's going to be some back and forth, but we will always make our very best effort to confirm the appointment, be as clear as possible with your residents, and then be on time with our technicians.
Yeah, really interested to hear more about developing this proprietary software. Well, let's back up a little bit. So you said you've been in business for about 5 years now, and at the time there were no competitors. This was an inception. So like, what was the impetus for forming the company? Where did you get the inspiration?
It's a great question, and one I like to answer. I was working for a very large property management company, and one of the things that I could clearly see is the advantages of a very large-scale property manager, thousands of properties in each market, has over a smaller property manager, a couple hundred properties in a market. And as you guys probably realize in your history of property management, the more properties you manage, the more efficiently you can manage those properties. That includes software expenses, that includes your team, how efficiently you coordinate with residents and legal agreements. So one of the reasons that we started this company was to offer some of the advantages of efficiencies of scale to smaller property managers. And that's where we've really been successful, is by giving the advantages of a full maintenance team to a smaller property manager and empowering them to use our team at their will. And that's one of the things I always tell my new property managers. I want you to consider us part of your maintenance team. Do you want us to look at a tree in the backyard? Do you want us to look at a pool? Do you want us to look for a dog that they heard was barking? Let us know.
Yeah.
We put in the notes, and our technician will walk in that door with the intention of looking for a dog that someone heard barking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. So giving the resources to a small company that they wouldn't typically be able to afford at that point.
Right.
I think that's what originally sold me on your model. We both came from a big property management company where we realized the efficiencies of density and scale. And as a boutique firm, we felt like we were at a disadvantage to these larger firms. So when you proposed your solution, that just made perfect sense to me. Like, hey, we can just hire experts that can do this part. It can protect the owner's interests with the property, making sure the AC filter is getting changed. And then also it's a good service to provide to the tenants. So it was a no-brainer for us. But what sort of pushback do you get on the model?
I appreciate that. Some property managers will tell me my tenants are already changing their filters. It's in the lease.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell them without question they're not, because our job over the last 5 years has been to take over accounts on people where their air filter services were required in the lease.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time we go into the property, 85% of the time, that grill is covered in a layer of dust. The filter hasn't been changed. And most of the time, the residents don't even know their filter size. Like when we reach out to them for the first time and say, hey, we're coming to your property on Saturday. Your property manager didn't have your filter size in the system. Can you tell us what the filter size is? they'll say, I don't know.
I've never changed it.
Yeah,
How long have you been there?
right.
5 years?
Even if they were having a filter delivered, they
Yep.
still don't know the
Yeah.
answer. So if they don't know that answer, probability is they haven't changed their filter.
And I'm sure plenty will swap it out right before you get there to be like, yeah, I've been changing my filter. But if you look at the grill, most of them probably aren't taking the time to clean that. Like, okay, it's obvious that you just changed this out.
It's for sure. And if you've managed properties in Arizona, I've had rental properties since 2004. The thing that I feared most was walking into the property on the turn and looking up at that filter grill and just seeing like a bird's nest of dust and filth coming out of it, knowing that I have to clean that thing out because no one else has.
Yeah. So when you started 5 years ago, was it just you, and were you going out in the field yourself doing this and then eventually bringing on a team, or how did that evolve?
Well, we certainly did everything as small business owners. We started off at a good scale. I did have some good connections in property management, so we did make a living right away, which was wonderful.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, not many small businesses that I know are profitable from day one. Our business was, and obviously that was a big advantage to us. We started off with a couple part-time technicians, and we quickly made them full-time technicians and hired more. And our success in Phoenix led us to Tucson, and we've been successful in Tucson for more than 3.5 years. And then last summer we opened in Denver, Colorado, and then this summer we opened up in Flagstaff. And
Congrats on the expansion.
Thank you. And it's really proven a few things to us. Number one, that our concept and service is in demand in other markets. We certainly thought it would be needed in other markets like Denver and Tucson, but you never know until you go and knock on doors and ask questions for property managers. And our response in those markets has been really wonderful. Then it proved to us that I didn't have the time to do it all myself. Initially, I would have loved to have all these markets controlled by us, but it taught us that there is a demand, but we need another style of capital exposure to grow the concept the way we wanted to. And so the last few months we have successfully completed our franchise disclosure documents, and we'll be selling franchises starting now.
Wow, that's great.
I'm excited about that as well.
What a good business model for the small business operator in the local market. And you probably really need a local operator, don't you, to make this successful? So.
Without question, it's going to be boots on the ground. We are going to always require in-person services. This is not something, we don't think that you can mail a filter to a door and consider that job done. We think this is a job where you schedule an appointment, you arrive with a professional, clean the grill and change the filter, and then we love to provide that property check every single time.
Yeah.
And I'll never change my opinion on that. I think this is a home services company.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think home services, like we started out with air filters with you, but we're big believers in preventative maintenance, right? We believe it's going to save the owners long-term in expenses. We believe it's good for the tenant, and it's also a chance to get another visual inspection of the unit like you were talking about. So we started an experimental program with you with preventative maintenance. You want to tell the audience what that looks like?
Sure. Yeah. Another part of our business that has grown in the past couple of years is a more complete annual property check. So property managers have come to us in the past 1.5 years, and they appreciate the simple check that we do when we do filter changes. When we do filter changes, we're just walking into the home through the main corridor of the home, down the hallway, cleaning the grill, changing the filter. And of course, we get to see 65% of the house in that small impact, but we're not going in the bedrooms, we're not going in the bathrooms, we're not looking for individual problems. But because we're so good at scheduling and performance, property managers have asked us, can we do other things? And that answer is certainly yes. We've been very fortunate to hire technically inclined professional technicians. So not only are they quite overly capable of changing filters, but they're typically handymen and HVAC technicians and have some plumbing experience. So they're very comfortable looking under your sinks, looking around faucets, looking at shower heads to see if there's a water drip or a garbage disposal that's not functioning correctly, and providing a more complete, comprehensive check for property managers like yourselves to, again, save you time and make your team more efficient. And that part of our business has grown quite a bit as well in the past 2 years.
So really a need from property managers asking these questions and you stepping up and providing the service. So were we your first customer for preventive maintenance, or had you already been running this program?
No, we actually we started in Tucson, actually, by a larger property manager asked us to start doing a more formal annual property condition report for them. And we realized how efficient and professional we could complete that job with photos and notes and details. And then when you guys asked us about it, the answer was certainly yes. And I think we gave you a few examples of jobs that we could do. And then you asked us to perform some additional preventative maintenance requests, which I love because it encourages the strengths of my team, like checking on the hot water heaters, making sure they're
not just checking on them, but draining them and
flushing them, making sure that they're all working completely, and flushing out all the sediment from the bottom annually, making sure they're working efficiently, cleaning exterior coils on HVAC systems, making sure they're ready for the summer months and ready for the peak performance. And those things all matter, like you said. That matters for the efficiency and the comfort of your home for your residents.
Like you said, checking all the water valves, making sure you catch a drip before it turns into a flood. Like, we very much believe in taking a proactive approach. Like, if you're out ahead of these things, taking a proactive approach, you're saving your investors money in the long run, right? Extending the life. And I love the value that it adds to the resident experience, right? Before you're going to go renew their lease, which, as we all know, often comes with an increase, right? Like, rents are typically going up, so you're going to renew their lease, you're going to increase their rent. If you're getting out there before you even extend that lease renewal offer and you're providing them value, like, I do care about your home, I want to make sure you're being taken care of, that everything's functioning properly for you, then that translates for them into loyalty and wanting to stay in the home long term. So again, like, you provide an invaluable service to us with that.
I appreciate that very much, and I agree with your thought. Can I ask you why you chose air filters to work with in terms of the preventative maintenance and the property checks and the filter service?
I think just from the very beginning, like, when we got actively involved in NARPM again over the last couple of years, you were very actively involved in NARPM and speaking at these meetings. You were the affiliate chair,
right?
Correct, right? So you were bringing a lot of vendors in, and a lot of folks were speaking very highly about the service that you were providing. And then speaking to you, the fact that you were willing to do a very customizable program, and you shared the vision we had of taking a proactive approach, and again, physically showing up to the place and doing these things. Like, you were a step ahead of where we were, because we talked about trying to do it ourselves in-house, and it's like, we didn't have the resources available to us. So knowing that you already had a proven model and could do this, and scheduling it, being the biggest piece of it, gave me confidence that it was at least worth a shot. So I think we tried like a few properties at first, and it worked out very well. And so we decided to move forward with our entire portfolio.
I appreciate that. And can you share how the experience has been for you and your property management team, the feedback from your residents and your property managers?
The feedback's been excellent. I mean, first of all, the owners love it. They love the reports that you're providing. They love to know that the AC coil was rinsed out. They love to know that the water tank was flushed so that they can get an extra life out of it. They love the fact that you look under every sink and make sure that there's no drips on there causing mold, or just that will turn into floods, which is a huge insurance claim and a huge inconvenience for the tenants. And then the tenants, to Brandon's point, they love it too. Like, they love the fact that a property manager that's actually proactive and coming over and fixing things without us having to ask, like that's unheard of in the industry. So you guys are revolutionizing the way that maintenance should be done, and we're super impressed and super happy that we partnered with you.
I appreciate it. And it's been a wonderful relationship for our team and my administrators also. Your property managers are clear, responsive, coordinated, and you don't always see that in different property management models. So appreciate your partnership and being part of your team, and we appreciate the fact that you consider us part of your maintenance team.
Absolutely. It's been a great partnership.
You're so forward thinking, and I've loved your thought leadership just in our industry and your vast experience. Like, what are we missing that we should be doing as property managers? Like, what's next on your roadmap?
Whoa, wasn't quite prepared for that question. You teed that one up way up.
What's one thing on our preventative maintenance program that we should be doing?
The one thing that I would tell property managers to consider, and I would say this is something you should consider every 3 to 5 years, is dryer vent cleaning. Dryer vents in Arizona are typically exhaust to the roof, and if you have a family of 4 that are drying clothes over 2 or 3 years, it's just factual that the lint and contamination will start to collect in the dryer vent. The dryer vents are typically 4 to 6 inches wide, so they're not designed for a lifetime of lint collection. So every 3 to 5 years, I would recommend property managers consider getting those dryer vents cleaned out. It does incur a fire hazard, and of course it limits the efficiency of your dryers because they're working harder to get less air.
And if they're working harder, then you're not going to get as much of life out of that dryer, right? And that's an expensive appliance.
Yeah.
So,
and of course the tenant's just going to run that thing harder.
Right.
To try
So
to
if
get
you're having to dry your clothes through 2 or 3 cycles every time, probably time to check the vent and see about clearing that out.
It's true, and a lot of property managers haven't thought about that.
What does that look like? How do you clear out a dryer vent?
So we also do duct cleaning. So we have commercial equipment that is designed more for air ducts, but also it's a 35-foot remote control brush system that we feed through from the bottom of your dryer vent through the top of your roof. A circular brush with soft bristles that cleans out all the dust and contamination from the dryer vent.
Yeah.
So you're not just sending air through there; you're actually brushing it out. So it's a very comprehensive.
Correct. It's a brush system. It's not terribly difficult, but it's still it requires equipment. Some companies will send a guy with a drill and a 7-foot brush. But if you really want to do it correctly, you'll push all the way through the top of the exhaust, top to bottom, and clean the entire. Sometimes birds will build nest in there. Sometimes rodents will build a nest in your lint.
Yeah.
So,
are you offering, like, you said you were in the Denver market and Flagstaff now too, like you dealing with the winterization issues? Is that a service you offer?
So that's a good question. Every market has its own needs, and every market has its own timing. We started off in Phoenix and Tucson, and we became experts in recommendations on timing on filter changes, and then we grew to Flagstaff and Denver, obviously much different climates and seasons, and realized that in Arizona, you cannot get away with changing your air filters every 3 months in the summer. You cannot do it. They will become saturated with dust and contamination. In Denver, you can. In Denver, you can get away with 3 months. And so we kind of had to change that service model to change how often we serviced those properties. And you only learn that through experience, and you only learn that by going in and looking at how dirty those filters are.
What about the filters themselves? Like, there are so many filters out there on the market right now. You've got super cheap filters that are basic and super thin, right? And you've got these allergen protector filters, triple thick, super expensive. What do you recommend?
So I asked this. I happen to be well versed in this question because people ask me this all the time. So there's 3 factors in an air filter that are important. One is cost, one is filtration, and the third is static pressure. And occasionally we will work with an HVAC company that services a property manager that will only recommend using the $1.80 filter, polyester filter from Home Depot, with their recommendation that it's more breathable in the system. And that's factually inaccurate today. 10 years ago, that might have been the case, but the manufacturing standards on air filters has changed in the last 10 years to where the static pressure drop between the filter that we use, which is a pleated MERV8 filter, versus a polyester filter, is virtually the same. There's hardly any difference in static pressure between the more quality filter that we use that filters 85 to 90% of the particulates from the air versus the polyester filter that the old school HVAC company will recommend that only filters 80 to 85% of the particulates from the air. And the rest of that dust and contamination is getting back into the dust system, into your duct system, and eventually could end up on the coils for your HVAC system.
And blowing out your vents into your home.
Correct. Yep. So we recommend in Arizona to use a MERV 5 to 8 pleated air filter. And those filters are designed for 60-day use in residential use. If you go to a higher MERV system where they're called allergens, or the frequent misconception that I see at like a Costco is, hey, this is a higher quality filter because it costs a little bit more and it's a MERV 11 filter. The problem with using that filter is that residential duct systems in Arizona are not designed for that type of filtration. It's too restrictive, so you're putting too much pressure on your HVAC system to draw air through that filter. Even though it's a higher quality filter, the residential duct systems are not designed to work with that much static pressure, and you are making your system work harder. I can get you any filter that the market has. Whatever you ask for, I can give you.
So that's a customizable decision with your property managers.
Correct.
Great.
My recommendation for 99% of residential use is a MERV8 pleated air filter.
There you go. Okay. The final word on that. I like it.
Like it.
One other thing we've been super impressed with, and you kind of touched on it, was just the quality of your staff that you have. And we're just curious, in such a tight labor market, how do you recruit and retain these people, these quality crafts tradesmen that want to come change air filters and do preventative maintenance? Like, what's your secret there?
There's no secret to building a good team and a good company. You have to put in a lot of hard work. You have to go through tests and training, and it's hard. And the people that represent you are the people that represent your name and your company. So even though we have a pretty easy job, changing air filters is not difficult. I tell people we do it better than anybody's ever done, and they should take pride in that. And the people that do last a long time, and the people that are looking for a quick gig or a fast turn between jobs, they won't last. And it takes time to build a great team. And we've been in business for 5 years, and we've connected with some really high quality professionals, and we've paid them well and treat them well, and hopefully they'll stay with us for a long time.
Always comes back to culture. Take care of your people, and they'll take care of you.
I believe that. I like to tell people, you take care of me, I'll treat you better. You treat me well, I'll treat you better.
Yeah. Is there anything that we haven't talked about today that we should be talking about?
I always love talking to property managers about the current environment in real estate, because it helps me make decisions about my team. Is the real estate market strong? Is the rental market strong? Are property managers doing well? And I love hearing feedback from my customers like yourselves. Can you just give me a quick diagnosis of the market in mid 2024 and where you see it ending?
2024 real estate market. That's a big question, Jeremy. And property management.
Yeah.
We both love to talk on this topic.
I
So,
love Who gets
so
Go ahead.
in terms of property management, well, first of all, property management is pretty recession proof, right? That's why I think we both got attracted to this industry, is whether it's up or down in the economy, like everybody needs a place to live, and rentals are always going to be there. So we love that part of it. I think what we're seeing right now is a reversal back to the accidental landlord, where someone previously, if someone got a job transfer or a change of life, like a divorce or a death in the family, and they needed to change homes, they would sell their home, right? Now, maybe you bought in 2020 and you're sitting on a house that's worth a little bit less than you paid for it back then. You're in the situation now where you're like, do I sell and take a loss on it, or do I hold it until the market recovers? So that's what we call an accidental landlord, someone that's faced with that decision and making the ultimate decision that, hey, maybe I should be a temporary landlord and hold the home for 3 or 4 years until the economy corrects. So it's been good for us because we've got people that are considering investing in real estate that would have never considered it. And usually once they dip their toe into investment in real estate, they catch the bug and they stick with it. They're like, oh, wait a second.
Especially when they collaborate with a strong property management team.
Yeah.
Turns into a great opportunity, and they see a strategy to build long-term wealth, right? Passive income.
Great.
So yeah, it starts off being this horrible thing in their lives that they have to deal with that turns into a blessing and a great opportunity.
Yeah, people talk to me about property management. I always will start the conversation by, property management's hard. It's hard, but it's so valuable. Having a good property manager taking care of your assets and taking care of your residents is so valuable. But there's no shortcuts. It's hard work, and I appreciate teams like yourselves that have done things the right way, build relationships the right way, look for good vendors to build relationships with, and build long-term customers, investors, and residents.
Yep. I appreciate you saying that. It's become a cliche around here, but honestly, like, we're only as good as the great vendors that we partner with, like yourself. So thank you for helping us to look great, keep our investors happy.
Appreciate it. We'll look forward to a long relationship together.
And thank you for your time today, Jeremy. If folks want to get in touch with you and they're interested in hiring AFTI to work for them, how can they get in touch with you?
Our website is airfilterstoyou.com, and my email is j.schweppe@airfilterstoyou.com.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.